Today, I'm gonna give you 5 tips on how to overcome urges when doing NoFap. Now, urges are inevitable. You're going to have urges no matter what. But when you do, you need to make sure you are prepared. So these are my personal top 5 tips that help me to overcome urges and stick to my NoFap journey. Number 1. Have good reasons for doing NoFap and remember them. This first tip is really simple, but it's very important. Without having good reasons on why you're doing this NoFap thing in the first place, you're more likely to relapse. When you suddenly get hit with an urge, it seems like you get detached from your brain. So there's like two of you. So there's your brain that doesn't like resistance and tries to give in on the urge. And then there's you. You understand that you can't watch porn because you're trying to improve and change your life. So when this battle between you and the brain starts, you need to make sure that you remember the reasons for doing NoFap. You can even write it down on the paper. But for me, what I do is I start to recall the memories of whenever I had erectile dysfunction and when I was unmotivated and lazy in my life before starting NoFap. I keep repeating to myself that, do you really want to go back on day 1 and feel like shit again? Just for a few short minutes of pleasure? Always remember that it's not worth it to relapse, but always remember the reasons of why it's not worth it. I keep recalling the time when I made it to day 56 of NoFap without relapsing, and recently I'm able to just get to 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks without relapsing. I tried to remember the reason of why that one particular NoFap streak went so well, and I think the reason is that I was meditating. I don't know how or why, but meditation really helps out when doing NoFap. It's like it keeps your mind stable, and that somehow makes it battling the urges much easier. You don't need to do 1 hour of meditation in the mornings, in the afternoons, and in the evenings every day. But you really need to give your mind 10 or maybe 20 minutes every day to keep it more calm, stable, and grounded. But you really gotta make sure that you're consistent with your meditations. And if it's hard for you to sit down for 10 minutes, try laying down. For example, I always meditate before sleeping. I just lay down, meditate, and when I feel like it, I just roll over and sleep. That's it. Of course, you should meditate by sitting too, maybe in the mornings or the middle of the day. But if you just want to start developing this habit, I really recommend meditating by lying down on your bed before sleeping, because it's still very beneficial. I would recommend guided meditations. There are a lot of guided meditations on YouTube, but the one that I use is this one. I'll leave the link to it in the description. I really like this meditation because it really helps my mind to get relaxed, and it clears the clutter that has accumulated in my mind throughout the day. Also, you could try meditating with alpha waves on, or just the old-fashioned focusing on your breath and staying calm and silent. I already talked about this in my The Key to Succeeding in a 30-Day NoFap Challenge video, but it's really one of the most important things to overcoming urges. By doing productive activities, you're keeping your brain busy, and when it's busy, it has no time to think about being bored. Because when it's bored, it really gravitates towards the unproductive activities, like, for example, watching porn. If you want to learn more about this tip, you can go and check out my The Key to Succeed in a 30-Day NoFap Challenge video. In there, I talk about this tip more in depth. So it's gonna be in the right corner of the screen on the annotation, or it's gonna be in the description. Go check it out. You know those days when you're just casually scrolling through Instagram and you see, just for a split second, an ad or a post by a sexy model or some other girl. You scroll down because you know you have to do NoFap, but the image of the girl stays in your mind, and then you scroll back up a bit and you're just thinking to yourself, It's not gonna hurt if I look just for a little bit. Next thing you know, you're scrolling to her profile account and you're starting to type POR into your browser and then you relapse. That's called a trigger. What I would suggest to do, and what I did, is to unfollow every single Instagram model on your Instagram because they probably don't bring any meaningful content for you anyways. And just in general, when you see a trigger on the internet, just quickly turn it off, and if you feel that you got an urge because of that, just try to do some breathing exercises or just try to ignore the urge, and it will go away eventually. This one is new to my personal how to deal with an urge list, but it's proven to be effective. Whenever you get an urge, try to just sit there and just observe the urge. How it makes you feel, what caused it. When you observe the urge, you get the control back of your brain because it helps you to realize the reality of the situation, and for me, it is very helpful when I get hit with an urge. It's kind of difficult to explain with words on why or how this method works, but trust me, whenever you get an urge or when you're gonna get the urge next time, just try this method. It really works. It's similar to meditation because you really need to experience it for yourself to understand why it helps and why it works. Remember, the urge will happen. There's nothing you can do to stop the urges. It's how you overcome the urge is where you begin to grow mentally. And when you win a battle against an urge, remember that the next one will be easier to win. And if you relapse, try not to blame yourself too much. The fact that you're even doing NoFap is admirable because you want to change. And like Gary Vee says, that without failure, there wouldn't be success.
So I was used to failure. Failure was my foundation.
So with every relapse, try to look at it as a learning experience. But never give up on NoFap. Keep doing it. Keep trying, and one day you're going to get rid of this addiction. I'm not an expert at this at all. I'm just a guy like everybody else who's trying to do NoFap. With these videos, I want to share my experiences and my tips on the NoFap journey, and hopefully you can benefit from these videos. Thank you so much for watching this video. Leave a like if you found it useful and if it had helped with your NoFap journey. I want to hear your tips on how to overcome urges and if you use the same techniques as I do. Subscribe to the channel for more self-improvement and NoFap content. And if you would like to support this channel, there's a link to my Patreon page down in the description. Thank you again and have a good day.